Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Recovering from COVID and COVID becoming an endemic instead of pandemic, all the way to Argentina winning the World Cup, 2022 has been a crazy, crazy year. I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait for this year to be over so I can start 2023 fresh. So today, us at NFE, we thought we would take a quick look at 2022, what happened, what we can learn, and most importantly, what can we take away moving into 2023. So 2022, a year in review. Check it out. 2022 was crazy. So much has happened. I mean, I'm just looking at the list here and it's nuts. I mean, I have a list of probably like 5-6 pages just going of all of the relevant and important things that happened throughout the year. Some of it more important, some of it less. But I mean, it was a crazy year. It was a lot packed into it. So January, we started off with basically COVID coming to an end. And I mean, all things considered, 2022 was probably the first kind of normal year after the pandemic. So we should have understood a lot. What's the new normal? This was all the discussion. But what really cool thing that happened in January, actually happened on January 10, is for the first time in the history of the world, surgeons were able to implant a pig's heart into a human being. So pigs have become a viable source of organs for us as humans. And it was the first time ever. Big breakthrough there. Not much else happened in January, a little bit here, a little bit there, but overall, January was pretty comfortable. And then came the shitstorm that is February. Russia invaded Ukraine. The world went nuts. So February, understandably, was all about the Ukraine war. The problem with that is that, the Olympics were in February. The Olympics ran from February 4th to February 20 in Beijing, in Shanghai. And I think February 21, so basically the day after, or like 4 or 5 days after, Russia invaded Ukraine. So that kind of became the headliner. And from there, we go into March, and the actual shitstorm begins. Because of the pandemic and because of the war that started in Ukraine, supply chain issues became a problem. So this is where we had issues with microchips, microprocessors. We had issues with food, children's food, anything that you can imagine. It became a little bit of complexity so that we kind of were running out. And because of that, food prices started to soar. So April was really when food prices started to skyrocket. And we were in this problem, figuring out how we can get it. There was no Pampers on the shelves and everything. So it was a whole issue. And I think the key going through that understanding is all of the countries are now kind of locking down their own supply chains. They're trying to figure out if another pandemic happens, if another supply chain issue happens, how can we be better prepared? How can the countries be better prepared for stuff like that? And then came the big crap, which is inflation. So inflation hit really hard May, June. It's still going on today. Inflation is still at record highs. But it did start in about May, June. And what can I say about inflation that hasn't already been said? It sucks. I have a whole video about inflation, why it happened, and how to break through and how to deal with inflation. So check that out for sure. Let me know in the comments how you did it or what you're still doing to fight through it. All of this stuff has become more expensive. Gas is skyrocketing. So from that perspective, I feel your pain. We're all in this together. So just let me know what you think and what you're doing, and I gave you my tips and tricks. So check out the video. This is also May is also when monkeypox started poking through, if you will. Outbreak happened. It reached about 100 cases. And then in June, it actually exploded into a full-on problem. World Health Organization called it a public health emergency. So we started. But the good thing is that rapid response, we kind of learned a lot from COVID. So monkeypox was a little bit better. We were able to control that and kind of get through it very much quicker. So that's sort of the May, June area. July, August was all about recession. So the economy's in recession. Economy is in recession, hypothetically. Everybody's preparing for a worse recession next year. So the market's a little bit bearish. We have to be aware of that. But overall, moving towards that recession. Problems started popping up. September wasn't too bad. September, October, November. The biggest issue we started talking about there was sustainability. So the International Climate Committee came out with their assessment saying basically we're almost to the point where our damage to the environment is irreversible. The 1.5 centigrade, line or red line that was drawn, we are not keeping it. We have to get to that. The targets have to be met by 2025, and by 2030, we have to reduce our carbon emissions by 43%, or else we're not in control anymore. Basically, nature takes over, and then we just have to figure out how we want to do things. Twitter was cool. So this is October, I think. Yep, when Elon Musk finally bought Twitter. He was going to buy it. He's not going to buy it. He's going to buy it. He's not going to buy it. He bought Twitter. Sliced and diced. Twitter is a shell of what it used to be, basically. Not a bunch of employees is gone. More than half of the employees are gone. Ad revenue is down. I mean, it's very difficult to see what's going to happen. But it's not Twitter only, let's be honest. Same goes for Metaverse. So Metaverse invested a ton of money, something like 14 billion into the 9.7 billion into the Metaverse already. They lost about 3.7 billion, and they're going to continue losing money on that. Everything is down. All of the social medias are down except for TikTok. TikTok is exploding. Gen Z is kind of driving that forward. So TikTok is still continuing to grow. In November, we hit 8 billion population on Earth. It's a lot of people. That understandably also, so the sustainability became an even more bigger issue. We have to sustain the planet, and we have to figure out how we're going to do that. December was a little bit more chillaxed, if you will. So yeah, World Cup, Argentinians won. Congratulations to everybody in Argentina. But we're kind of closing out the year, kind of relaxed a little bit. It's not as problematic. So going into 2023, man, 2023 is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. A couple of keywords I want to mention for 2023. So when we're sitting around and talking, my friends, and we're kind of discussing what we want to do, our business partners, how we're going to run the business, how we're going to expand, how we're going to grow, what does the market look like? All of these discussions, there's a lot of words that keep popping up, some of these keywords, and I think these are going to be the keywords for next year. The number one keyword is resilience. So anything that you do in 2023, a lot of it is going to have to do with resilience. We have to be prepared that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tough year. Economy is probably going to be in recession. Everybody's preparing for that. Things are just not going to get better, basically. If they don't get worse, they're definitely not going to get better. So resilience is going to be the name of the game. We have to stick together. We have to be together. Be with your families, be with your friends, be with your colleagues, and just be on the same boat, because you're going to need each other in 2023. You have to rely on your friends. You have to rely on your family. They're going to rely on you, but it's not going to be an easy year. We have to push through it, and we have to get over this hump. Hopefully 24, 25 will be better, but 2023, not very optimistic overall. The market's not very optimistic overall, and I tend to believe them. So from that perspective, just resilience is going to be the name of the game. Second one, which is crucial, is sustainability. We're going to talk a little bit more about sustainability in future videos as well. But overall, if we don't do something now, we're very, very screwed very, very fast. So we got to figure this out. We got to look at Patagonia. I love Patagonia. I mean, good job, man. It happened this year as well. It's one of the breakthroughs. I couldn't believe that a business leader, a founder would do that. He basically took $1 billion business. He handed it over to a trust. So he gave all of his shares. So he's not the owner anymore. He gave all of his shares to a trust with a clause that all of the profit that's generated within the business either gets reinvested back into the business or is given directly to climate relief funds. Directly. So basically what that means is he is no longer getting any type of profit from that company. And that's amazing. That's very extreme. but good job. I mean, bravo. I mean, I was not expecting that. And I think, I don't know if we have to be that extreme, but we definitely have to take some measures to curb what's happening, because we won't be around for longer if we continue this route. So sustainability is definitely going to be one of the key topics for 2023. Keep that in mind. If your company is carbon neutral, great. If it's not, you need to figure that out. What you're burning, you should be giving back. And it's also going to be something that the consumers and the users are going to demand. So definitely keep that in mind. So that was number 2. Number 3 is sustainability again, but this is from more of a business perspective. So how do you sustain your business? How do you keep growing in markets like this? And when everything's going to crap in the world, you got to keep going. So the name of the game here is going to be lean. You got to cut the fat. There's a lot of fat, especially if you're a tech firm or a tech company. There's a lot of fat. There's a lot of people that you don't need. There's a lot of processes and workflows that are not necessary. And you need to be able to cut that fat. Companies need to become more lean. A lot of these tech companies, we including us, we tend to overhire. We overhire because we're investing into innovation. We need resources that are free, are not working on the current day-to-day operations, so they can innovate. We also overhire because I'd rather hire someone than let that person go to my competitor. There's sort of this professional sports mindset. If you have an all-star, I'd rather draft the all-star than let somebody else have them, even if I don't need that specific position filled at this moment. So we have to kind of get over that and work together and be a little bit more inclusive versus trying to fight each other versus competition. But again, the name of the game there is going to be cut the fat and make sure that you're as lean as possible. Operations need to be more efficient, need to be more effective. So that's definitely number 3. Number 4 is we got to focus more on value versus growth. I don't like the word growth as much. I use it a lot, I know, because again, it's revenue and we're a business and you got to grow revenue. But the name of the game there is going to be, you got to figure out that you're actually adding value. So the money that you're receiving, the revenue that you're generating is coming from added value. It's not coming from just pure growth. And the key difference there is that if you're growing, that doesn't necessarily mean you're adding value. You could be adding more and more and more and more users, but they might be leaving. So they're coming to try it, but they're leaving. But you have so much flow coming in. 10,000 users come on a trial basis. They give you X amount of revenue. 3,000 of them leave, but then another 10,000 come. So in the end, your net revenue is growing, but you don't really have any value to add. So how do you know if you have value is, well, market fit. Do you have, your product has market fit? You know that your users are coming and staying for a longer time. So instead of just looking at pure revenue numbers, do things like a cohort analysis. I mean, look at how long the user is staying. Look at your churn rate. How fast are you churning users? How fast are you churning consumers? And this is going to be very relevant going forward. Last but not least, zebra, not unicorn. And I think I spoke about this. I'll leave the description a link in the description below. But you got to be a zebra. We got to forget about this unicorn bubble. Just, it's crazy. The valuations went nuts. Now, thank God the valuations are down to a more normal level. They'll continue to go down to even more normal level in 2023. But I mean, I'll give you a good example. We're talking to a VC like last year. And basically, I'm a seed VC, so we're talking seed round. And basically, the entire discussion wasn't, is there value, is there revenue, how many users? I mean, this type of discussion was absolutely secondary for them. The key thing for them was, if they put in the C round, will their sort of big brother VC put in the money in the A round? So he's just buying, it's like buying and selling tomatoes. I buy it for 100, I'll sell it for 200. And if somebody buys it for 200, then I'll buy it for 100. If they don't, they don't. So it's not really value-based. It's just bubbling the valuation up into a certain point and hoping somebody like Google will buy it at the end, basically, so that everybody, makes money along the line. But I mean, that has stopped, and you got to figure that out. You have to be a zebra. You have to generate revenue. You have to generate demand. So the companies that have existed for 3-4 years already, and they're bootstrapped and they're revenue-based, those companies are in very prime position to get the money. The key difference between the dot-com bubble in the 90s and today is that there is money. Today, the VCs are flushed. So investors actually have a lot of cash. They're liquid. They just don't have any place to invest it into. Dot-com bubble was a little bit different. So the money exists. It's just a matter of getting the right valuation and figuring out if you actually have value, if you're adding value, if you have demand, if you have product market fit. So again, think zebra, not unicorn. So I'm going to leave you with a high note. I know 2023 is going to be tough and we're going to struggle a little bit, but here's the positive things of these kinds of things, these years that you have these economic recessions. The positive things is that we get the chance to reassess what's important for us. You get a chance to reconnect with your family. You get a chance to reconnect with your friends, reconnect with your community. So this is the time where we have to rely more on that. And I think there's beauty in that, because if we can grab that and make sure that we're moving forward together, then when the economy starts to grow again and the money flows, then we all win. We have to think more inclusively in terms of economic growth and not exclusively to the filthy rich. Thank you very much, guys. Happy holidays to everybody, and I'll see you guys next year.